Hello everyone and welcome to my channel YNR Trends. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. This is not an official screenplay or episode of The Young and the Restless. Rather, it is a fan-generated fictional plot. Audra never imagined that one night would make all the difference. The storm raging inside her chest appeared to be echoed by the sound of the wind banging against the window pane. Everything had been peaceful, stable, and under control for a while. While Noah had been in the kitchen making himself another cup of coffee and whistling a half-forgotten tune under his breath, she had been sitting on the sofa, watching her daughter play with a plush bunny on the rug. In their hectic lives, it was a rare moment of calm, a shaky serenity that seemed almost too good to be true. Perhaps Audra had known in her heart that it wouldn't last. It didn't. Not in the city of Genoa. In their universe, no. The moment struck like a bolt of lightning. Not just any cry, but the kind that made Audra's arms stand on end, had been spoken by her kid. A shrill, panting, frightened scream. Time seemed to collapse in on itself as Audra's heart suddenly seized. Before the sound had really registered in her head, she dropped the magazine she was holding and ran across the room. When Noah saw the horror on her face, he paled and emerged in the doorway. Their daughter's breathing was faint, her little face contorted in agony, and she was gripping her tummy. At her side, the bunny lay forgotten, a silent observer of the horror that had only just started to materialize. While brushing a moist lock of hair off her daughter's forehead, Audra knelt next to her, her hands shaking wildly. "What's wrong, baby?" she whispered. "Sweetheart, talk to mommy." But all she got in return was a feeble cry and a painful grasp of Audra's hand. Noah hurried over and said, "We have to get her to the hospital," in a shaking but firm voice that Audra couldn't bring herself to speak. Right now. After that, the world became hazy. Audra couldn't recall how she managed to get the automobile keys and exit the vehicle. She couldn't recall locking it after leaving. She simply remembered flashes, not the drive itself. The way Noah drove like a man possessed while holding her hand. A child's erratic breathing noise coming from the back seat. The red digits on the dashboard clock were glowing. A lifetime was stretched into every second. The sterile brilliance of the lights struck Audra like a slap when they rushed inside the emergency room of Memorial Hospital, Genoa City. They were surrounded by nurses who removed the young girl from her arms and put her on a gurney. A nurse held up a firm hand as Audra attempted to follow. She replied softly, "We need space to work." But it seemed as if she were speaking in a fog. Audra's legs gave way and she staggered back, clinging to a chair's edge to prevent a complete collapse. At her side, Noah grounded her by putting his arm across her shoulders. In addition to being consoling, his touch served as a reminder of everything they had shattered, everything they had endured, and everything they may lose tonight. The distant cries of a baby down the corridor, the gentle but frantic banter of medical personnel, and the beeping of monitors all blended into one loud cacophony in Audra's mind. Hours or perhaps minutes went by. Here time meant nothing. Willing herself to remain strong, Audra pushed the heels of her palms against her eyes. Before she had been strong. She has experienced betrayal, lies, secrets, and public humiliation. None of that, however, was comparable to this. The worry that the most valuable item in her life would be disappearing just beyond the emergency room's swinging doors. At last a physician appeared. His solemn yet composed expression was enough to make Audra's stomach turn around. He started by saying, "She's stable for now," and the wave of relief that passed through Audra almost made her knees buckle. Then she heard the words that would stick in her mind. "We need to do further tests. It might be a small matter, but it might also be something more significant. We will soon know more. Something more grave." The words rang like a curse in her head. Once more, Noah's hand found hers and squeezed firmly. With a heavy, nearly shattering voice he muttered, "She will be fine. She must be all right." Audra nodded, but she couldn't talk because of her constricted throat. Her daughter's tiny figure was just barely discernible through the curtain's openings as she watched the physicians vanish down the hall once more. Never before has she felt so powerless. Then came the tears. Raw, hot, and unrestrained. With shaky hands, Audra covered her face and slumped into a chair. This was not the calm, strategic woman the world had known. Spoilers for Young and the Restless were released. Genoa City is rarely a peaceful place, But when the names Kane Ashby and Phyllis Summers happen to be on the same screenplay, the already intriguing atmosphere devolves into anarchy. A perceptive person like Phyllis cannot overlook the stench of stray blood that Kane's prior scandals, from alleged shady deals to shady movements at the crossroads of business and personal life, leave behind, in addition to causing rifts in the relationships around him. For Phyllis, fear is never an isolated emotion. Rather, it serves as the foundation for action and the impetus for a prompt counteroffensive. She transitions from observation to proactive exposure when the sense of dread that precedes Kane's style reaches a level, initiating a series of daring actions that are expected to upend the power and emotional dynamics for both parties. When it comes to Phyllis's calculations, she rarely gives up all for a brief outburst. She prefers a pincer attack, which involves pressing the opponent to reveal an opening, while maintaining a safety line to ensure she never loses her balance. According to whispers from sources close to the script, Phyllis has surreptitiously acquired enough information about Kane, including convoluted investments, enigmatic meetings, and draft plans that can be construed negatively if revealed in the wrong circumstances. All of them are data that can be distorted negatively, but not all of them constitute sins. Furthermore, in Genoa City, the way a story is told might occasionally be more significant than the actual event. Phyllis is the best person to recognize that. She doesn't need a nail piece of evidence right away. Instead, she needs a narrative framework that is crisp enough to make Kane defensive, and when someone is defensive, mistakes are easy to make. Phyllis's decision to strike at the exact point where Kane had no backup defense, the boundary between ambition and the need for recognition, was risky. Kane had thrived on the knowledge that he was clever enough to evade the police and affable enough to convert suspicion into adoration. Phyllis uses a few more ink blots to paint that portrait, charm tinted with pursuit, vision tinged with calculation, and innovation tinged with exploitation. She circulated signals, set up levers, and forced the people around Kane, partners, associates, and even some friends, to begin questioning him before hurriedly throwing her weapon. A single spark was all it needed to ignite the secret room in Genoa City, where suspicion spread more quickly than fire. Ironically, though power struggles are rarely entirely logical, perhaps on Kane's boat, where he preferred to retreat from the noise, or in a hidden area of GCAC, Phyllis arrived one evening in an opulent but protected setting to test a different weapon, deliberate intimacy. The remarks were scathing, and the pride of two individuals who had repeatedly saved themselves from peril made them unwilling to give in. If one had to interpret the statement that Phyllis surprised Kane, it meant that Phyllis attacked both his argument and his emotional nerve system, a near approach that made both sides feel as though they were about to slip off the safety line. No longer a romantic gesture, locking lips became a strategic act of control in that instant. It tested weaknesses, evaluated limitations, and most importantly, provided a response to the question neither of them dared to ask out loud. What do we desire from each other, freedom or power? Claire increases risk. Kane's allure, Victoria's journey. According to spoilers for the week of October 20th to 24th on The Young and the Restless YNR, Claire Newman, Haley Aaron, will increase her risk-taking while Kane Ashby, Billy Flynn, copes with some temptation. There will be a lot of activity on the CBS soap opera because Victoria Newman, Amelia Heinley, will also be traveling. First of all, Claire will go to great lengths to maintain her happiness with Holden Novak, played by Nathan Owens, in Los Angeles. It's feasible that Holden might save Claire if she gets into trouble because Kyle Abbott, Michael Mealer, becomes suspicious whenever he's around and will stay in LA for a while. Victoria will accompany her daughter to Los Angeles because she is worried that Claire would act recklessly. The fact that everyone is after Claire like she's a little child who is incapable of caring for herself is guaranteed to irritate her. Claire would probably believe that Victoria's mother truly intended to monitor her like Kyle, even if she used visiting Noah Newman's, Lucas Adams, injury as an explanation. But if Holden finds himself in difficulty because of his past with Audra Charles, Zuleika Silver, he may easily turn into a danger magnet. In any case, if Claire allows herself to become enmeshed in all of this Ella magic with Holden, she might at least act impulsively in the bedroom. Could Kane and Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, be about to make some of their own rash decisions in the bedroom? Phyllis has been getting closer to Kane lately, and is about to meet a startling new love interest. Allowing desire to flare up with Phyllis won't help Kane's reputation, but they might give in to temptation nevertheless. If Lily Winters, Crystal Khalil, learns of Kane's sexy rendezvous with Phyllis, she might have an even more serious issue with him. Regardless of Lily's desire to acknowledge it, jealousy may surface. In any event, Kane may choose to seek out some heated comfort with Phyllis because, according to Y&R previews, Lily and the twins won't be forgiving him anytime soon. As they wait for Noah Newman, Lucas Adams, to awaken, Sharon Newman, Sharon Case, and Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, will attempt to unravel the mystery of his vehicle accident and the strange events that led up to it. Matt Cohen's character, Detective Burrow, will also be searching for the truth, so expect him to have some questions for Sienna Bacall, Tamara Braun, and Roger Howard's character, who might turn out to be Sienna's longtime lover Mitch. Back in Genoa City, Jason Thompson's character Billy Abbott must choose between speaking up against Jill Abbott's, Jess Walton, investing in tensions and remaining silent, as Sally Spectra, Courtney Hope, wishes. Sally and Billy's relationship should face additional difficulties in the future, regardless of Billy's approach to this. Billy and Sally are doing their hardest to keep things together, but how many more challenges can they overcome before they lose it? According to spoilers for The Young and the Restless, several characters will face further challenges during the week of October 20th to 24th. Keep checking back for updates on any significant developments and contentious exchanges. Make CDL your go-to source for Young and the Restless news, spoilers, and updates. We'll have so much more to provide. Tracy Abbott, Beth Maitland, will ask Alan about the strange warnings on his phone during the week of March 17th to 21st, but he will dismiss them as random hacking and become irritated during the interrogation. Alan will eventually persuade Tracy to focus on their impending nuptials and will want to take her to Paris to look at some potential wedding locations, or so he will say. Actually, Martin could just want Tracy to leave town as quickly as possible before all of his secrets are revealed. She will display her vulnerability with Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, over with Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford. Billy will support Phyllis during a difficult time and work with her to help her take back her life at Abbott Communications. Joshua Morrow's character Nick Newman will receive an unexpected invitation. This will lead to a crucial conversation as Sharon will encourage Nick to accompany her on her trip to Europe with Faith Newman, Raylan Castor. It appears that Sharon will acknowledge that she has had plenty of time to reflect about her relationship with Nick, particularly after being imprisoned during 2 abduction attempts. It appears that Sharon will have the courage to admit that she frequently considers a romantic reunion with Nick, because she has more than just friendship love for him. In order to provide Sharon some life-altering updates, Sharon will then encourage Nick to be open about his feelings as well. At least Sharon will realize she needs to move on if Nick keeps her in the friend zone. They might both be speculating about a new course for their relationship, though, since Nick might also want Sharon back. Claire Newman, Haley Aaron, might be pushed to her breaking point because Summer Newman, Allison Lanier, will continue to be glued to Kyle Abbott, Michael Mueller, like glue. Kyle may be concerned about the direction of the tension between Claire and Summer since Victor Newman, Eric Braden, will also irritate him by presenting him with the facts. Holden Novak, Nathan Owens, will then play with fire as Lily Winters, Crystal Khalil, worries about Damian Keynes, Jermaine Rivers, covert plan. Holden will try some chances with Audra Charles, Zuleika Silver, but she might emphasize that she is currently with Nate Hastings, Sean Dominic, and has no intention of rekindling her romance with her ex. Chelsea will make a daring move with Adam Newman, Mark Grossman, according to other Y&R spoilers. Passion will probably break out in the bedroom since Chelsea seems to be sick of suppressing her emotions. When she returns to Tracy, Diane Jenkins Abbott, Susan Walters, and Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, will offer her some advice. Tracy may admit that Alan appears tense and speculate that their engagement could be the cause. Diane and Jack might tell Tracy that Alan is smitten with her, and advise her to accept his offer to look for a wedding location in Paris. There will be basketball programming on Thursday, March 20th, as Y&R will be preempted for March Madness. Remember to factor in another basketball-related preemption when scheduling your soap opera viewing for Friday, March 21st. Some security footage from a hardware store will probably lead Chance Chancellor Connor Floyd to a discovery during the week of March 24th to 28th. There ought to be proof that Alan bought the supplies for the room where Sharon and Phyllis were trapped. Will Chance discover that Alan is truly Martin, his evil twin brother? Can chance prevent Tracy and Martin from boarding an aircraft and heading into worse danger? Tracy may find herself in a dangerous scenario since Martin will undoubtedly lose it as this story intensifies. There's a chance that Martin and Tracy's vacation to Europe will overlap with Sharon, Faith, and Nick's if they manage to leave the country. In any event, according to spoilers for The Young and the Restless, the chaos in Martin is going to grow worse, so pay attention. For amazing Young and the Restless spoilers, news and updates, CDL is the place to be. Visit often for more information. Jack Abbott was there, standing near the bar talking to Lauren Fenmore. Devin Hamilton had just arrived, his expression warm but curious, scanning the event with the ease of a man who knew he belonged in every room he walked into. Lily Winters was there too, unaware that the man she had once loved was hiding something that would break her heart all over again. Phyllis's stomach twisted, not out of guilt, but out of the gravity of what she was about to do. Once she said the words, there would be no taking them back. There would be no pretending she hadn't known. The host stepped up to the microphone, welcoming everyone with the usual pleasantries. Applause. Laughter. The clinking of glasses. And then, as if on cue, Kane stepped forward to say a few words. The charming benefactor. The man who'd built an image of trustworthiness over years of careful manipulation. Phyllis felt her heartbeat quicken. This was it. She didn't wait for him to finish. Her heels clicked against the marble floor as she strode toward the center of the room, every eye turning toward her. She'd always known how to command a room. "Excuse me," she said, her voice slicing clean through the chatter. "Sorry to interrupt your lovely little speech, Kane, but I think it's about time we talk about the real story here." The room froze. Kane's eyes widened, and for a split second, his polished exterior cracked. "Phyllis," he said tightly, "this isn't the time or the place." "Oh, I think it's exactly the time and place," she shot back, stepping closer to him, her voice clear and cutting. "Because the thing about secrets, Kane, is that they have a way of festering in the dark. And I'm done letting yours rot this town from the inside out." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Lily took a step forward, frowning. Devin exchanged a glance with Jack. Kane tried to regain his footing. "I don't know what game you're playing." "This isn't a game," she snapped, and the fire in her voice made the air around them crackle. "You've been lying to everyone, Kane. Smiling in their faces while you hide the truth about those offshore accounts, and the little trail of stolen money you thought no one would find." Gasps broke out around the room. Lily's face paled, her hand flying to her chest. Devin's jaw clenched, his entire posture changing as he stepped forward. Kane's mask slipped entirely now, panic flashing across his features. "Phyllis, you don't know what you're talking about." "Oh, I know exactly what I'm talking about," she interrupted, pulling out a slim folder from her clutch. She held it up like a sword. "You see, Kane, you should have been more careful. Those fake charities, the offshore shell companies, not very original, but effective. Until someone like me decides to dig." The room was dead silent. Phyllis flipped the folder open and pulled out the printed documents, wire transfers, bank account details, proof of money quietly being siphoned away under the guise of philanthropy. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said, turning toward the guests, "the charming Kane Ashby has been laundering money through these accounts for months. Millions. And guess where some of it came from? Funds tied to legitimate causes. Companies that trusted him." Lily let out a soft, strangled sound. Kane stepped forward, his voice shaking but laced with anger. "You have no idea what you're doing." "Oh, I know exactly what I'm doing," Phyllis said coldly. "I'm telling the truth." The room erupted into a cacophony of whispers and accusations. Devin stepped forward, his voice low and dangerous. "Is this true?" Kane's mouth opened and closed like he was grasping for words. He'd always been smooth, always quick with a charming lie. But now, with the walls closing in and everyone staring, he faltered. "I can explain," he managed finally. "Explain." Lily's voice cracked like glass. "Explain how you stole money? Explain how you lied to all of us again." He turned to her, desperation bleeding into his expression. "Lily, it's not what it looks like." "It's exactly what it looks like," Phyllis cut in sharply. "You thought you were untouchable. But guess what? You're not." Jack stepped forward now, his expression grim. "You've done a lot of questionable things over the years, Kane. But this? Enough," Kane snapped, trying to salvage some control. This is between me and Phyllis. Oh no, Phyllis said, her eyes flashing. This is between you and everyone you betrayed. The tension was so thick it felt like the air might snap. Kane's hands clenched at his sides, his carefully constructed life unraveling in real time. He'd thought he could keep the secret buried. He'd thought no one would dare expose him, least of all Phyllis. But he'd underestimated her. Everyone did until it was too late. Lily took a shaky step back, her eyes glistening with a storm of betrayal and heartbreak. She whispered, more to herself than anyone, "How could you?" Kane reached out toward her instinctively, but she flinched away like his touch burned. "Lily, please. I did it for us. For the future." Her voice broke. "You stole. You lied. You destroyed everything." Devon's voice came in low but firm. "This isn't going away, Kane. Not this time." Phyllis stood there, holding the folder like a weapon, feeling the weight of what she'd done crash over her. It wasn't triumph she felt, not exactly. It was something heavier. Exposing the truth wasn't clean. It was messy, painful, necessary. She turned to the guests. "If anyone wants to see the proof, it's all right here. Every transaction, every shell account. I made sure to give a copy to the authorities too. So this isn't going to disappear with a little charm and a smile." A hush fell again, the sound of a man's world caving in. Kane stood there, his face pale, his breathing shallow. His eyes darted around the room, landing on each person who once trusted him, and now looked at him like a stranger. Lily turned away from him. Devon stepped between them, protective and cold. And Phyllis. Phyllis didn't look away. She met his gaze head-on, letting him see exactly what had brought them here. Not revenge, not malice, but the simple, brutal necessity of the truth. "I warned you," she said softly, but every word was a blade. "I told you secrets always find a way out. You should have listened." Security began to step forward, and whispers turned to a low roar. Someone was calling the police. Someone else was recording everything. Kane's jaw tightened, panic giving way to anger. "You think this makes you some kind of hero?" Phyllis shook her head slowly. "No. It makes me honest. Which is more than I can say for you." He was taken aside, still trying to form a defense that no one wanted to hear anymore. Lily was crying now. Her friends gathered around her in quiet shock. Devon looked like he was holding back a storm. Phyllis stood alone in the center of it all, her chest heaving, the adrenaline still burning through her veins. For the first time in weeks,